In this video, we're going to talk about the realities of growing a Shopify store from uh, pretty much uh, the base level all the way through to 500K, and kind of my journey that I'm on right now in doing that, and what this is going to look like in 2026. So, um, I, why I'm making this video is I think there's a lot of content out there that kind of makes it feel like, oh yeah, if you just have a subscription, you're just going to be able to scale. And it's just super easy at that point. As long as your CAC is right, then you could just scale, which is true to an extent, but there's still so many pieces that go into that. And while I'm trimming these bushes, I just kind of want to talk to you all about what are all of those pieces, from revenue to marketing to cost of delivery to uh, OPEX, and what does that process ultimately look like to be able to scale a store past that without making it like a drop shipping type video. And to be clear, this is more for people who are shipping the products themselves, are kind of doing it more, we'll call it like a mom and pop Shopify store, and want to keep it more of like a lifestyle business. I'm not talking about hyper scaling stores. I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm just literally talking about how do you kind of take that store and grow it as a lifestyle business. Now, if this is your first time to my channel, my name is Joe Chavez, and all I do is help people break their first $1 million on Shopify. Um, I've managed over 500 million on paid. I've worked with celebrity brands, small brands, and I acquired a Shopify store to be able to teach um, you all how to break your first million. So I acquired this store from a past client of mine. It is a women's book box for women who love reading and travel, and it's called thewordytraveler.com. You can look it up. Um, and in 2026, the goal is to grow this thing to 1,000 members by the end of the year. We currently ship it out of our house, and I work with my oldest son, who is about 15 at the time of recording this video, and my other boys who are 10 and 8, which they kind of just help out here and there, and they get involved with it. And then my wife will help from time to time on like making videos and just making things very beautiful, because she has a great gift for that. So it's kind of like a family affair, if you will, and spend maybe 5 to 10 hours a week on it right now. But in this year, the goal is be able to have my son be more involved in the business, and so teaching him through exposure in the business. And so in order to do that, I wanted to put together a plan of what would it look like for him to take over as CEO. And so I would operate as CEO this year, and then ultimately have him do it, but have him have the exposure this year to be able to take over in the future. And I figured this is a perfect video to make for you all, because I can walk through what I kind of just talked with him about, and it would help you all to understand the forces of e-commerce. That's kind of like what I'm calling it, and how they all interact, and really how to put together a strategic growth plan that then you can execute against, and why it's not just as easy as saying, hey, if we hit CAC, we could just scale, because there's so many pieces. So um, first off, when you're looking to grow a store, uh, basically our plan is 500K in revenue. We'll have 1,000 members, and uh, that will equate to around 75, and it's a quarterly subscription box, by the way, but that will equate to about $75 in profit per member per quarter. And what that would look like is about 300,000 in profit for the year. So 500K top line, 300,000 in profit, and that's roughly kind of where the business will be. Now, if you watch any of my other videos, you'll know I like talking about, um, you know, understanding revenue as it relates to cost of delivery, meaning cost of goods sold plus shipping, um, and as it relates to, and pick and pack fees, so kind of like everything related to shipping the product, and as that relates to marketing, so what is marketing as a percentage of that, and then looking at OPEX, and then what's left over is profit. And so what's really unique about a subscription business is, and one like ours where we're saying we want to get to 1,000 members, is that once we get to 1,000 members, we can turn off marketing And I'll speak of kind of like the marketing piece of this, but you can turn off marketing and have what's called net negative churn. Now, net negative churn is basically just when the amount of people who are churning out of your business, meaning like the subscribers who are leaving. So let's say we get to 1,000 subscribers, and every month and every quarter we have 100 people leaving. Well, if 100 people are leaving, but we have a funnel set up where if you're a member, you can refer a free box that's maybe not the full box, but is like a little teaser box. And from that, they can activate and say we get 200 people or 300 people sending those, so 100 a month. 300 people send those little free boxes, and of those people, 150 activate to become paying members. Now, that's what I'll call referral activation rate. So the referral activation rate is basically the amount of people, or the percent at which those people who get this free gift from existing members, and usually our friends and family, will then become members. And if that number is higher of the people who are getting referred every month, without us paying anything extra, but just because we have a great product, if that number is higher than the people who are leaving our service, then we now have what's called the Holy Grail, net negative churn. And this is so special because net negative churn basically means that even if we turn off marketing, we'll still keep growing. And that's really what we're skating towards here is we're going to use paid and organic. We're going to use organic kind of outliers that we're going to make organic every day, and organic outliers that become paid ads to fuel our growth. But the goal is not to keep using paid. The goal is to, by the end of Q4, or by the time we hit Q4, be able to have net negative churn and have this referral flywheel because we have a great product that just keeps growing. And part of this is a great credit to my wife here on this amazing idea is developing book clubs. So I'm working on this year on saying how do we incorporate book clubs into our product, because that will inherently bring more women together, inspire more wanderlust to travel and all of that, and make the likelihood that people would refer this to refer their women to go up and say, hey, like you should join the book club instead of just join this subscription box thing. It just sounds like a subscription box. Well, if it's a book club that is only, call it, $99 or $129 a quarter, that's way cheaper than any membership you can get and any social club you can get. And we're all social beings. So being able to have that as part of it, I think is going to help our referrals. And that's really, when you start thinking about your business, thinking about how you can incorporate these type of mechanisms into the business that would make it so that ultimately you could eventually turn off marketing in an e-commerce business and still continue to grow. That's really the strategy we're going after this year. And I wanted to share with you because it's less conventional than just talking about running ads and being more efficient on CAC. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you always have to pay to get customers, you more likely are day trading. You're more likely just trading on these platforms and saying, this is, I'm taking money, I'm taking profit that I could reinvest back into the business to make the product better and serve our customers better, and I'm just spending it, and Meta's the one really profiting in this account or in this situation. And so I want to help you all to start thinking in this way of thinking about your cost of delivery as a percentage of your revenue, and then thinking about your marketing and thinking about a strategy as to when is enough enough. For us, 1,000 members is great because inherently we know we're going to be limited by the amount of books there are on a specific topic. And also it's great because we know we don't want a huge warehouse, and we want our warehousing costs to be pretty, decent, like 1,500 to 2K if we're going to keep shipping it ourselves, and we don't want to send it out to a 3PL, because sending it out to a 3PL, we'd likely pay 5K to 7,500 just to have a 3PL doing it. Not to mention the complexity of making sure that they're getting our product, and we're coordinating everything with them and all of that, versus we control the business and we can say instead of shipping every month, we're going to ship it once a quarter, and that probably wouldn't make sense for a 3PL anyway. So I think there's ways to simplify things. And that's really been my push to the team, that my head of operations, who I've brought in to help simplify things this year. And like, if it's simple, do it is kind of our motto for 2026. Um, and I think that is something that we can all strive for, making a more simple business that isn't based on trying to build it the way that someone else has built it, or thinking we have to grow this massive $10 million brand, and we're just going to suffer till we get there. Like, you can have a nice little business here, managing, you know, uh, managing to get to, a couple 100,000 in profit per year. And the goal would be to be able to teach my son business along the way. So that's kind of what I see as our next kind of path to success here. And that's where I see us going with this brand, and being able to get there is just a matter of time. But we would never get there on accident. And that's another important piece that you should think about, is thinking that you're going to end up somewhere on accident is the fatal flaw that we all make when we run things. When I first acquired this store, I didn't really have a clear plan like I do now. And I think that was a big mistake. Looking back, it's always 2020, right? But I don't think getting to the place where I am now is something that would happen by accident. And it takes kind of going through it and realizing, like, just getting CAC to work and getting efficient on CAC isn't going to be enough. You really have to orchestrate all the pieces. And it wasn't until, like, recently I did this exercise where my wife and I had chatted, and we were saying, hey, what would it look like to give our oldest son this business, and should we get rid of it? And we started just talking about it, and ultimately decided, if we're going to do this, we got to lay out what that would look like for him. And in doing that, I realized I hadn't been doing my diligence enough to myself to lay out that plan for the team that was existing and already there, and me running it as CEO. And in doing that, I realized this is a lot of stuff that he would have to thread the needle through. And that's where we got to. If you see my other video, I kind of sit down and walk through the business plan with him. But we got to the place, and we said, it actually makes more sense for you, when I was talking to him, for you to shadow me and get exposure this year, and then next year be able to, or eventually be able to run it. So that's kind of where we landed on that. But I'd suggest to you, like, pretend as if you were going to hire a CEO and build out the plan that you would give them to take over the business. And that alone just gives so much clarity as to what success ultimately looks like in an e-commerce business. That is going to be something where you're shipping it yourself. Like I said, this video is for those people, and pretty much those people only, because if you're not shipping it yourself, you're probably just trying to scale it super hard. And yeah, that's an absolutely different business, all in all. But that's what I would suggest, is just thinking about it as if you're going to get rid of it, and if you were going to get rid of this business or have someone else take over, what would you do, and how would you structure it to make sure it's super clear to them, and then you step in and operate it for a year under the same kind of structure. Because I find we almost are kinder to other people and more helpful to other people, and when it's ourselves, we'll just kind of wing it. I don't know why. It's just kind of, or maybe that's just me, maybe that's not other people, but I found it really helpful. And in 2026, I'm going to be kind of taking this thing to the next level and really running it well. And I look forward to sharing more videos with you all on what I'm learning along the way. Laying out the plan. If you wanna see the plan, I have another video that on my channel that I haven't posted yet, but it will be posted by the time I post this one. Titled something like, I almost hired a CEO. I almost hired maybe I'll I'll title it something like I almost hired a 15-year-old CEO and realized this is a lot, or something like that. Um, and I'm going to continue to operate it, expose him to the business, and then have these milestones that he gets to take part in with me, where he gets to really learn what does it take to run this thing, and then he'll have the chance to take over in 2027 after he's done a little bit more skilled. And let me know too if these videos are helpful, if you just kind of hearing my e-commerce thoughts of kind of how I approach business while I'm doing kind of house chores and regular everyday dad stuff. I might change my name to ecom dad on on all the webs, because these are the thoughts. These are literally the thoughts I'm having when I'm doing stuff. And instead of just thinking them, I figured, hey, if I could help one person out there, if I just me recording it and walking around and doing what I'm going to be normally be doing, well, that's a win, Like no reason for you all to have to recreate the wheel of growing your store if someone else is also struggling through it and trying to figure it out. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you in kind of thinking through some of this stuff. It's not easy, but ultimately connecting all of those dots from sales to having a clear plan to what does done look like in your store. I'd challenge you to drop down below, like if you want accountability for it, drop down below what done for your store looks like. Like when will it be enough? Is it just an infinite growth lever or growth target that you have that's aimless? Because I also find happiness comes from being able to hit some of those targets, being able to say like, I'm done with this store when I hit, whatever it is, 1,000 members or 10,000 customers at this and much profit. It becomes much more of a game for us, at least. For me, at least, that's kind of how I think about it. So, be curious to know what you all think done looks like for your store. Like, when will you know that you are done, and why? Why do you think that number? I know for us, like I said, 1,000 members is kind of based on knowing that we have a limited amount of people who can order the books, and that is a big part of it, because at the 1,000 member mark is where we know, okay, like we have enough books for all the members and some alternates, but it's not so many people that like fulfilling it is a nightmare, because we do want it to be something. Maybe one day we sell it. Who knows? I don't see this being something that is gonna be super attractive to somebody trying to buy it, but who knows? Maybe somebody loves reading and travel, or maybe books take such a big comeback that people are like, oh, this is such an attractive business to have, but highly doubt that. I think just it's a matter of making sure while we own it, we steward it well. That's a big belief of mine as a Christ follower is, we need to steward the things we have well, and we have a responsibility to do that. So, while this is under my care and leadership, I want to make sure that I do nothing but that, whether it looks like handing it off to our son or us continuing to operate this store. So, thank you all for hanging out with me. Let me show you what the bushes look like. Let me know if any of these are uneven. I don't think they are, but let's see. I think they look pretty even. Let's see. Yeah, they look pretty good. Like those two, and then those guys over there. And I did those over there. I just have this one last one on this side. I can come over here with me and finish it. And get the thumbnail right now. Like I want to make these so lo-fi that you all are just like, what is this type of content? I've never seen anything like this. No more of ecom guys just talking, uh, in it's like some of these ecom ones are so scripted, it feels like that I just feel like the world needs more ecom dads, just guys trying to make it. And I've met a lot of the ecom dads out there. If you know an ecom dad, let them know about the channel. I'd love to meet you. Dad's just trying to make a better life for their kids and run ecom stores. Like, that's really who I'm after. If I were to be completely honest, I'm cool with working with ecom moms and ecom parents, but ecom dads are like, they just get me. I could spend the weekend with them. We could talk ecom, we could talk family stuff. Like, it's just a different motivation than when it's just about you. Nothing wrong with it being about you in the beginning when you're younger, but I just think I could connect to them, I could relate to them, I could understand that you need to strike gold. You need to be able to know what I need to work on, what I get in, get out, and get it done. And I just found like a lot of you and my ecom guys that I chat with, a lot of them are dads. So I'm like, hey, why not start focusing in on y'all? You won't care if the video looks like this, as long as you can kind of just pop it in the background and listen to it. Kind of say, hey, what's Joe thinking about with ecom these days? It's like a conversation I'd have with a buddy. Except the sucky part is I feel like I'm talking the whole time, but if you're watching, then you don't really mind. Wonder what's on your guys' mind in terms of growing your stores. What are you all struggling with most right now when it comes to growing your store? Drop it in the comments below. Would love to talk about that in future videos. Now I'm just lopping this thing. Let me know if I could improve on my tree trimming too, my shrub trimming. Last thing I will say is I'm pumped to the thing I'm most excited about this year with the store is creating organic content and really working on like our 45-second story, that I like to call it, is like building out this narrative that we don't travel as much as we'd like to, and being able through content to teach and expose women to travel more through reading. Like, I do think that's a cool thing, and it's very, I feel like books, and like I was just talking to a buddy the other day named Pete. Shout out Pete if you're watching, but like he was saying that journals and like in an age of AI, like tactile things are coming back, and I think books are a big part of that. I would eventually like to do a reader's journal for the members. I think that could be cool, but I'm just trying not to get sidetracked on things that aren't going to simplify the business, because that would actually be adding more complexity. And so I'm excited to create content that we can then run as paid and really start to unlock some creative outliers when it comes to organic content. I think we have a massive opportunity to do that here in 2026. I'm excited to look at the business in a positive way. I think in 2025, I started to kind of feel like, what's the point? Why would we grow this thing? And I think I just needed to step back and get some clarity on it and realize this is an opportunity if I make it one. And if I put together the plan and we execute against the plan and do it to the best of our ability without getting distracted on other things, like, this can be a good thing. So I look forward to having you all come along with me on the journey. We're about like 15 videos in, I think, to making a lot of long form, but the vlog series, this kind of started as Breaking a Million Live. But I found like in 2026, I'm just going to do more raw, unedited stuff like this. More ecom dad type talk stuff where you're just coming around with me. Maybe I'm just sitting having coffee some days, but it's just me talking to you guys, cutting it straight, no editing, just thoughts turning into these conversations so we can all learn from one another. Drop it in the comments. That'll be the two-way dialogue, is you all talking in the comments and letting me know you're out there, letting me know there's ways I can, things you'd want to know about, like you want to hear about my fears in the business, you want to hear more about the wins, you want to hear about tactics, which I know I do other videos on that stuff. Like I just did one on GPT, how to make a marketing GPT for your business, so you could fire your email marketer. Um, yeah, so I'll be doing tactical stuff, but this type of series and format is mainly just me ranting to you all. So we'll call him Ecom Dad. Kind of talks. Um, yeah, so I just think it's important to not to just work, just to not work alone, and to have a community of people you can talk honestly with, try to shoot it straight, and be able to understand kind of what others are going through in e-commerce. So um, hopefully it's been helpful. Thank you all for sticking around, and make sure, don't forget to work to live, or to live to work. Work to live. I'm like mixing that up. That's really a big thing of this channel, is like making sure that we're not just working endlessly. And I think that's another piece of like the 1,000 members thing, is like that's when we're done. And when we hit that number, we can go ahead and say we've done a good job, and let's keep it here and let's keep operating it smoothly. And that's enough. Knowing when enough is very important for the life you want to live. At least I think so, and that's kind of like the vibe on this channel. So thank you all for sticking with me. Shrubs are good to go. And yeah, I'm going to head out to my son's basketball game here in a little bit, and I'll see you all in the comments. All right, later. Don't make sure not to forget to work to live. And Joe signing out. Peace. Your Ecom Dad.